Thank you for joining us for our next interview in the 2020 Candidate One-on-One Interview Series, sponsored by Already Real Estate Group. These interviews are just so you get to know the candidates that are running in our region of the state. We have 9 races and 18 candidates. There are 18 videos in this series. Southern Midcoast Maine Chamber does not endorse any candidates. We're simply doing this to provide you the information that you need. As well, Priority Real Estate Group is sponsoring this need to know information sharing event, but they are also not endorsing any candidates by sponsoring this. With that disclaimer out there, I do want to introduce our next candidate interview. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Seth Barry. Hello, Seth.
Hey, Cory. Thanks for inviting me today. Great to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. Seth is an incumbent, so he may be familiar to many of you. Quick question right off the top, Seth. Your district is what communities?
Yes, I represent House District 55, which is Bowdoin, Bowdoinham, almost all of Richmond, and beautiful Swan Island on the Kennebec.
Oh, Swan Island is beautiful.
It is, right?
Awesome. Well, hey, I just want to go, 8 to 10 minutes here.
Great.
A little bit about you, a little bit about what you believe. I know a lot of folks know you, but for those that don't, it's a great opportunity to meet folks. So, Seth, give us a little personal bio. Where are you from? What do you do? All that.
Sure. Well, it all began, Cory, in a little town called Bowdoinham. I was born there and lived almost all of my 51 years in Bowdoinham. So I guess you could say I didn't get very far in life. I went away to go to college and graduate school. I was a public school teacher actually for almost 2 decades. First in inner city New York, actually, East Harlem and Washington Heights. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. I did spend a little time in South America and learned Spanish also. But I spent almost all the 90s teaching in the inner city, and it was really eye-opening for me. I think I did some good. I like to think I did some good and kind of answered the call to public service that President Clinton had then, announced. It was what can you do for your country kind of a time. And to me, that was a way of serving my country. But I got to say, I got more out of it than I'm sure than any of my students got. We're still in touch. But it was really great for me. And I think it helped me to understand the strength and the diversity of our nation in a way that I could never have hoped for otherwise staying in Maine. But I did come home to Maine in 2000. Been here back in Bowdoinham ever since. Took a job teaching in the local schools. Did that for another, 8 years, and really enjoyed it. Taught graduate courses for teachers. But I got talked into running for the select board in Bowdoinham, and then I was talked into running for the legislature, and it kind of, I liked it. It's another form of public service. It's another way to give back, and you can help people in a pretty powerful way. So I did that, and quickly realized that it was hard to both teach and legislate. I did it for a little while, but the schedules don't really mesh. So I took a job in a local business, which is Kennebec River Biosciences, right here in Richmond, just a couple miles from my home. And I've been so lucky, so fortunate to work with the team at Kennebec River Biosciences. We're a Maine-based bioscience business with customers and clients on every continent except Antarctica. And we're an export business. We're bringing money into Maine, and we rely on a highly skilled, well-paid workforce. We are, we were involved in the Merrymeeting Bay Business Association back when that was a thing. And Cory, I hope we paid our dues. I'm not sure, there's so many membership organizations, but it's just been great to work with Bill and the whole team at Kennebec River as well, and to serve in the legislature off and on for 12 years now. The more that I learn, I think the more effective that I am, and so I'm really enjoying the opportunity to make more of a difference as I mature in my work in Augusta.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, Kennebec River Biosciences, tremendous company. The things that they do there are so unique, so out of this world. That, you wouldn't think of Richmond, Maine, of being
right.
that hub for that kind of work. And we absolutely are. And it goes to show, what we can do here and what kind of innovation, lives in Maine. So that's a great story. And as much as I want to tell that story, I also want to tell the story of who you are. So yeah, you've been in the legislature for 12 years, and you put up a lot of bills. I mean, you have programs and issues that you're passionate about. Why don't you tell us about some of those?
Sure. Well, I've served in quite a few roles. I was assistant leader and also majority leader for a couple of years. But my really abiding interest in the committee that I keep coming back to, I've served now for 6 years on it, is energy, utilities, and technology. This is the committee that oversees our grid. And by grid, I don't just mean the electrical grid, I also mean telecommunications. Those two things are the wires together, the wires attached to the utility poles. All of that we oversee. There are some other areas like water and wastewater utilities that we regulate, gas utilities, but the grid is the foundation of our future economy. I think people don't fully appreciate when you're driving down the road. If you look up at the top wires on those poles, that electricity is likely to power our entire economy going forward. Right now, most of our energy is through fossil fuels. We import $5 billion worth of fossil fuels every year, but we are going to become energy independent, if I have anything to say about it. And we're going to do it through electricity. And that requires a massive investment in the grid. We need to be able to afford the grid. We need to be able to trust the grid. And telecommunications, obviously in this day and age with the pandemic, we've really come to realize how important that is for work, for education, for healthcare, and I could go on. So the two together, all of that attaching to the utility poles are a real passion for me, and I'm going to continue to work on that. Cory, I'm also very concerned about healthcare. Obviously healthcare costs are really challenging to businesses. I think it is crazy that businesses are expected to provide health insurance for our employees. It's not a system that makes that makes sense in a seasonal economy, a gig economy. There are too many people that fall between the cracks. It's hard on employers and employees alike. And there are better ways. We can look around the world and see better models that exist right now that we need to go towards. So I think healthcare and healthcare costs and quality are going to continue to be a priority for me. And I'll just wrap up quickly with education. Coming back to my biography and who I am, I obviously care deeply about education. I'm on the advisory council of the local Success by Six program for the Mid-Coast Maine United Way. Yeah. Great organization. And, our focus there and a big part of my focus in the legislature is early intervention, really, which also connects with healthcare, but, helping children to get off on a strong start, because the research is clear. The first 1,000 days of life, the first 3 years alone are fundamental, and 90% of brain development happens at that time. I'm very proud of my work on education and early childhood in particular. You see a giraffe behind me on the shelf there. That's an award I got from the Maine Children's Alliance. They choose a giraffe award recipient every year, and it's called the giraffe because it's given to individuals who stick their neck out for kids. I'm proud to have that. That's probably I've received a lot of awards in my time, but that's probably one of the awards I'm proudest of. And I'll keep sticking my neck out. Cory, hasn't been chopped off yet, so I'll keep sticking it out.
Well, Seth, and that's great. And those are three of the biggest issues that we've been dealing with for the last 10 years in the state. I mean, healthcare and education certainly, and energy, a little bit more recently has been a big issue.
Huge.
Can you break down the energy piece just a little bit more? So people hear energy independence and they hear, but can you figure, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot here, but outlay to people why it's so important that we get the energy piece under control? What kind of impact could it have on Mainers?
Well, I think we're all increasingly aware that the climate crisis is probably the fundamental and existential crisis of our time. Scientists are telling us that we have a very limited time in which to change direction. And I mentioned fossil fuels. 84% of our emissions right now come from transportation and from building, heating, and cooling. So we need to rapidly shift those uses of energy, of fossil fuels, to the electrical grid. That represents also a major economic opportunity for Maine. So the climate crisis is not just a dire warning to all of us that we'll have sea level rise and catastrophic weather events and on and on. It's also an opportunity because Maine has immense potential to power the whole eastern seaboard with offshore wind, with solar considerably, could be a big part of the mix, which it's not now. We're getting there. I'm proud of what we've done recently with solar, but there's a lot that Maine can do. A big part of it is making sure that the grid is up to the challenge. And for Maine businesses in particular, I have to highlight cost and reliability are absolutely fundamental. Bath Iron Works in our neck of the woods, if the electricity costs go up by a penny, that represents $1 million per year in lost revenues for them, or in added costs, I should say. The paper mill in Skowhegan, Sappy, Somerset,
Yep.
If electricity costs go up by a penny, they lose $2 million per year. And so it's no wonder, that we're facing, because we haven't done well, I think, in really controlling our energy costs. It's no wonder that many paper mills have gone away, gone to other parts of the country, of the world, I should say, places like China, and they're causing more emissions there, so that's not helping climate either.
Right.
We can, if we do this right, Cory, there is so much that Maine can do to be a part of the solution and to create economic value, economic opportunity, jobs right here in Maine. So, I can go on and on about this.
No. Then that's good. That's good. Having that breakdown really helps. I mean, I don't know if people think about the energy mix. I mean, I think they turn on the switch and the lights come on, but
Right.
The source of that energy is so important. And, it's going to take looking at things and being accepting of change, because we've got to change the way we're doing these things because our planet's on fire. So yeah, do everyone want windmills or solar panels? Like, I don't think any individual one is the answer. It's a combination of all of them.
It is. And it really does require a paradigm shift. What we're doing now is not working. A lot of people say, oh, we'll just, put up some solar panels and we'll take care of it. But there's a lot of naivete there. I'm all about solar too. I've had it on my own roof for 10 years. But if we made all of our electricity right now renewable, Cory, we would only solve 9% of the problem. Electricity is only 9% of the greenhouse gas emissions in this state. So it's about shifting our use. I mentioned electric vehicles and heat pumps. That those consumer choices, which are not easy to influence, are the key. And people won't switch to electric vehicles and to heat pumps unless they know they can count on the monopoly utility to provide them reliable and affordable service. So that becomes it's all about the utility. And can we trust it? Can we, count on it? Can we afford it? If we're going to make this paradigm shift.
Love it. All right. Hey, Seth, we do have to wrap up, but if people want more information on your views or want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for folks to do that?
So I'm on Facebook at Barry, State Rep Seth Barry. I think it's what it's called. And we have I have a Twitter account. Don't use that too much. Email is always great. Seth@sethbarry.org. And my phone number's in the book too, Cory. So I'm always happy to hear from people in any way that's convenient to them. Live right here in
Email
Bowdoinham.
seems the easiest there, or Facebook. So Seth at sethbarry.com.
Seth@sethbarry.org.
And
That's
it's
right.
Barry, Berry, just like
Berry,
your favorite
blueberry.
food berry.
You got it.
So, Awesome. Hey, Seth, thanks so much. And I want to thank the viewers. If you did like this video and you want to share it on Facebook, we would love to have that shared around and spread the word of what Seth's trying to do. Thanks for joining us, people out there in the viewing world, and we will see you down the road.